This is the Average Guy Network, and you've found Home Gadget Geeks show number 481, recorded on February 25th, 2021. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here. Mike, last week, frozen tundra, like -20. This week, okay, so it's only 30, but it feels like summer, right?
And yeah, I know, and it's supposed to get up to 50 on Saturday, so I'm excited. But if you think about it, we've gone through a 70-degree swing in about a week time, which is just kind of crazy. I know a lot of people have been having like pipe issues as everything starts to thaw out, and it's a fun time. But at least I'm glad it's warm again.
Jay Mattison's back with us. Jay, you're in the Philly area. How's the weather? You guys okay? Did you get the super cold stuff we had, or did that go away by the time it got to you?
Yeah, we didn't really get hit. We got some snow, but it really never went below like 29, which is normal for this time of year for us. So it's been fine. We got a few inches of snow, but other than that, it's been pretty straightforward. It was like 55 for the last 2 days here as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
Can't complain.
No, you can't. We can, because it was 20 below. It was super cold. We've lived here Mike, you've lived here your whole life, right? I've been here 30 years. You get this. If you're going to be in the Midwest, you get it every couple of years. You just kind of know it's coming. Of course, that doesn't prevent us from complaining about it. What we don't talk about is we'll have a full set of show notes out at theaverageguy.tv. For this show, theaverageguy.tv/HGG481. A couple reminders before we get in. One, big thanks to our Patreon subscribers, for those faithful who do that each and every month. Big thanks to you guys, and we'll display that rolling, the rolling ticker at the end of the show. Appreciate you guys. Two, a big jump on Coinbase as far as folks that have taken advantage of that. Coinbase did either change that, or I didn't necessarily read the rules, so I can't. But now it's, if you sign up and you make $100 trade or deposit or something like that, you get 10, I get 10. It's a pretty good deal. A bunch of you have done it. So, Mike, the only reason I don't like that is because I don't want people to get into crypto and burn their own money. Like, the nice thing was you got 10, you could do some training and get up to 30 more, and it gave you some kind of coin to mess around with. So
right. And I did see too, I know they were having issues with, their education tab that we've been talking about, where you can play those videos, take the quizzes. The quizzes were down for about a week, for about the last week, but I think they got them back. Yeah, we sent so many people over to take those quizzes and get the free crypto. But rumor has they're back up and running. So I think, right now you can get up to like $21 in crypto by learning about it. You watch the videos, take the quiz, and it's been good. Crypto prices have been so crazy. I'm back to mining, Jim. Fired back up the mining nice hash. I'm actually running it on this computer with 2 GPUs in it as we speak.
John, of course, Jay will talk about this. He's got a super fast. Jay, have you gotten into crypto at all at any point in time? Oh, now you muted, Jay. Yeah, you muted.
Work.
We're on a roll today.
It's almost like we planned it, so it's good.
No, I do hold a small amount of Bitcoin, but other than that, I really never got into mining for whatever reason, considering I have like 4 computers just hanging out. I should, but I haven't gotten into it yet, but there's still time.
We're going to talk about this in kind of an upgraded build you did here in a little bit, but you put significant GPUs in your rigs. Now, to be honest, mining didn't make sense for the last year and a half, GPU mining.
Correct.
All of a sudden, John contacted me this weekend. He's like, man, I'm making $20 a day. And I'm like, holy cow, well, okay, and you think, well, that's not bad. Are you tempted at all to maybe throw nice hash on there and fire up the GPUs on those?
I am, especially since, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a 3070 right there that's just sitting on the shelf. So, Now that you mention it, I think this weekend maybe I'll whip something up.
That's what my brother-in-law just got a 3070 for gaming, and when he's not gaming, he asked me, he's like, "How hard is it to mine?" I'm like, "Dude, it's a program. You literally fire it up. Nice hash makes it so easy. You click start." And he's been doing whenever he's not gaming, he just runs it on his 3070, and I think he says he's around between $6 to $11 a day. Now you gotta take electricity costs, but I think he actually is taking electricity costs into that because Nice Hash lets you plug that in. But he's like, "Dude, he goes, why haven't I been doing this?" I'm like, "I don't know." Because I said the reason you haven't is because GPUs, the 30 series, are just so overpowered now. It's amazing. And plus crypto prices weren't this high. So right now it's actually profitable. I said for the past few years, it hasn't been. Jim and I were doing this, 3-4 years ago, and it was awesome. Then it fell off, and now it's back again. And those 30 series cards are just beasts when it comes to mining.
How are the 20 series? Because I have a 2060 also just hanging out, and I think I have an older 1060 as well, just hanging out in the background somewhere.
Those are good with on the 20 series cards are gonna be great. I'm running a 1660 right now, and that's at about, with today's prices, it fluctuates, but $3.50 a day on my 1660. So I'm guessing a 20 series would be probably between that 3.5 and 5. And then I'm running a 1060 also in this rig, 1066 gig, and that's $1.75 a day right now. So, and I actually just run them both in the same rig. There's really no issues there as long as your power supply is 500 watts or above. And it's just one of those kind of set it and forget it kind of things. And you can set Nice Hash to, hey, if it's not profitable, stop mining, right? So if all of a sudden prices tank and you're going to be paying more in electricity, then you can turn it off. But yeah, it's one of those just kind of like, well, if it's, might as well, right? And then it just gives you more crypto to play with, which is kind of fun too.
Yes, there you go. No, I like it. I think I might actually set it up this weekend. Now that it's free money, why wouldn't I?
That's the way I see it.
It's good to get into just to know what's going on, right?
For sure.
So so Jay, do you have a Coinbase account? Have you set up a Coinbase
I do have a Coinbase account. Awesome. I don't know. Have you guys heard anything about the NBA Top Shot cards by any chance?
No.
That's kind of interesting. So it's not directly crypto related, but it's running on the same tech, obviously. Basically, NBA, or this company affiliated with the NBA, created these digital cards, like moments. So it'll be like, think of like a video clip of LeBron dunking or something, or like hitting a game-winning shot. And you can purchase these packs of them, similar to like you would a card, just like an NBA typical any sports card, but they're all digital. And it's only one person can own X amount of cards. They release, maybe 1,000 at a time, what have you. And the prices for these things are insane. So you might buy a pack for $50, and some are going for 6 figures already, 8 figures. I think a LeBron one went for over 100K. Like it's insane. And this is it's in beta. It like just launched a month or so ago. So
essentially like digital video versions of literally the trading cards we all had as kids.
Exactly.
Wow.
Which is like,
it's on the blockchain. Is that kind of tie back to crypto? So that's how
that was a tie back. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for connecting those dots for me.
Okay, got it.
Smart contract for that.
Yeah.
Each card then becomes a smart contract or something along.
Exactly.
I had not heard about this. That's fascinating.
All right, Wieger, don't be buying these cards during the show, okay?
I just got a LeBron.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. If you get a LeBron, that's pretty much 100K right there.
I mean, I'm probably buying at least one during the show. So what are they called? NBA Hot Shots?
No, they're not called anything. They're not called.
Well, you have to get into a queue. You can't. It's not like you can't just go buy it. Unfortunately,
and I'm in.
Okay, it's really cool. So that's what me and my friends have been talking about the last couple of days.
No, that's cool. That's like, I think that's one of those things that was kind of the promise of the blockchain that we're now starting to see. Like, that's an interesting now. Digital artifacts, are they really worth that much? Well, if people are willing to pay for them, they are.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's speculative art. It's kind of the same thing. My only issue is, I think if they're smart, which obviously they have very smart people doing these sort of things, they'll come out with a way to either you pop it into a USB drive, stick it into a giant frame on your wall, and you can have your moment. They'll figure out ways to make that digital element also physical and even pump up the volume more. If you're a super rich dude, I have 6 of the most expensive Top Shots in my media room. Come look at that kind of thing. Yeah. So they'll
sign up
is
actually disabled because of high demand, they say. So I mean, it was just crazy because I hadn't heard about this yet, but apparently, yeah, you're right. Extreme demand right now for this. They had to put it on pause. Interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah.
My 1060s, these are 3 gig. These are the 3 gig. These were like I don't know, 130 bucks, Mike. Do you think that we pay for these back in 2018? Like,
I think a little bit higher even. I think we were right at 200.
Okay.
But I wasn't running those cards. Remember, I was on the AMD side. I was running the 480s.
Yeah, Jay. Yeah, I bought 4 of these. So these are the Asus 1060 3 gigs. They're actually a pretty decent gaming card if you're not hardcore gaming, right?
1060 is for me a Hall of Fame card in terms of value to performance. Like that was one of the best ever. It was a great card. Does the RAM affect actual performance for mining?
Yes, because you need to be able to load part of the blockchain in to be able to mine. That's the way it kind of works. So nowadays that's about 4 to 4.5 gigs. So that's why the 1060, if you have the 6 gig version, still good for crypto mining. 3 gig, not going to do much.
75 cents a day per card for one of these, which is not, and that's including electricity. So it's not nothing, but they do make a lot of heat and they make a lot of noise. And you're like, well, for 75 cents a day down here, going and I'm working down here, you're kind of like, no, I probably won't run them. So when I bought the Mac, I pulled these from no, that's not totally true. When Joe sent me some super micro hard drive enclosures that I put in the box that had these, and I kind of ran out of room, so I pulled them out, and I was like, well, I'll find a use for them. I haven't yet, so I probably need to get. Well, it's just one of these. They're not worth it. I just need to dump them. Actually, find somebody who needs a good video card to throw in
I'll take one for my Plex box. I need a transcoding card for my Plex box.
Well, I've got something for you, Mike. So we'll have to maybe I'll swing by and you can borrow it from me.
There we go.
Well, okay, we'll come full circle. If you want to get in the crypto game, and again, I don't want you spending your own money if you don't know what you're doing because it's crazy right now. But to jump in on Coinbase, theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase, and there's a good offer to get that done. Real quick before Jay, before we kind of talk about your build a little bit, the primary question I was going to ask is how'd you even get these parts? So be ready for that question. But
I've got an answer.
Okay, good. Ed Sullivan picked up his Tesla this week, and now so we know Paul and we know Ed. I'm kind of wondering if there's other listeners out there who've picked up Teslas. And Mike, I was kind of thinking you and I maybe would do a Tesla roundtable. So we'd bring some folks, everybody, well, it depends on how many, but we'll bring folks in and just kind of get the user experience from the Tesla standpoint. How'd you set it up? What are you doing about power? What's the real world? How are you traveling with it? Are you taking it far? What are you doing? I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
Well, I've been interested in that a lot because I think a lot of things about Tesla have changed since the very beginning, right? There was so much hype about it. I saw the initial reviews, but I haven't kept up on, how are these things holding on for the next few years, have, the software, because obviously they update everything via software, right? And I'm curious too, power, right? Cost of installing that power bank in your home, the charging station. What happens when, I go on my road trip to my in-laws farm? I mean, can I plug it into their little outlet in the garage and expect to get any power? Those sort of questions. Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
Jay, are you following electric vehicles? Are you what's your thoughts? Weigh in a little bit on Tesla, or where are you going to get one? You got one already? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, I follow it very, very closely. Obviously, just as most techies do. I think the tech alone interests me. Their battery day, that whole presentation was really awesome. I'm very interested personally, though, because I'm still living in an apartment. Like when I'm looking to buy a house, probably within the next year or so. When that happens, then I think it's Tesla time. But I don't want to just have it and have to deal with the inconvenience of where can I charge it, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of the electric car. I think in the future, probably in the next 5 or so years, we might not even be talking about Tesla specifically. I think Toyota and some of these other companies are coming out with cooler stuff. But right now, as it stands, I would definitely get a Model 3. Probably not a Model Y, not my favorite looking car, but Model 3 is priced right, I think, and they're just really cool. I have a couple friends who have them, and they love them. They swear by them. So,
I think you're right. I'm excited for some of the other form factors of the other manufacturers to become electric vehicles, right? Like GMC had that launch or the presentation of their truck, which I mean, that is huge for me because my next car is going to be a truck. And I hope, and if I can extend out and maybe wait 3 to 5 more years, have some more options. I don't like the form factor of the Tesla truck. I don't think many people do. So, you know, I think especially in Nebraska, that would stick out like a sore thumb. But I like the idea of Ford and GMC and all the other makers getting into it and putting that into their standard make of cars. I'm curious, you know, so I have a 3 and a 4-year-old. Okay, so my 4-year-old, he's 12 years from driving age. Like at that point, will I need to teach a kid how to drive, or is it just all going to be autonomous? Like, are they going to have to learn? Like, you're going to take a test, or they're just going to be like, press go, and the car takes them to their destination? I would be excited about that because I'm sure it'll be a lot safer. But you know, that's my kids are probably not to that point. But kids being born today, probably in 2 to 3 years, they might, by the time they're 16 and driving age, and who knows, does the driving age stay 16? There's so many fun, cool things that are going to have to be reconsidered as it gets more and more popular.
Yeah, these are really good problems. I'm curious to see how the autonomous driving goes in the next 5 or 10 years. Obviously, look at where Tesla is now. That car drives itself. It really does. I think the biggest issue, though, or the last hurdle, will be getting all the cars to talk to each other, getting all electric cars to talk to each other, some sort of protocol where it's communicating from a global and or citywide aspect. So it's like, hey, there's a traffic incident up here. All 1,000 cars adjust, 6 inches, so that by the time this car is merging, that sort of thing. I think when we get there, so we have the AI mixed with obviously the sensors built into the cars, both obviously it'll be super safe, so you won't have to worry about accidents at all. But then you have that kind of seamless integration where there's no more traffic, everything's going 150 miles an hour, you're getting everywhere super fast. That's what I'm kind of excited for more than anything.
That's true. Think about the next iterations, and you're right. Getting the stuff built into the infrastructure, not just the cars. Right. Well, that's gonna be amazing.
Do you think Americans will put up with their cars being controlled by the traffic that's around them? I mean, I know it sounds cool, but you're like, I'm an American. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna drive as fast as I want, right? Kind of thing. And they start coordinating with each other, Jay, in your scenario, like, hey, you could actually slow down a little bit because the traffic is slowed down ahead of you, and it's not gonna benefit you to go any faster. Because in fact, I can get you there faster if we go a little bit slower, which seems kind of weird. That for most Americans, that doesn't compute. They're just like fast, punch it. I'm gonna be mad and yell at people, whatever. So I don't know. I listen. I have a dream of being able to jump on the interstate and join a convoy of vehicles all going, for us, when we go west, we go to Colorado, we go to Denver. It's a long straight road, right? And how great would it be to just come in with a train of cars and everybody's the right distance, going the same speed, drafting, and you're getting either awesome gas mileage, or in this case, pretty much sure in 10 or 15 years, we're going to be past that half threshold of at least half the vehicles being electrical at that point. So how great would that be to get that kind of scenario, and you just sit back and let the thing,
and think about this. So I think when people think about driving, like, I love driving a lot. I will certainly miss it when it's gone. I think the people that grew up driving, it's going to be a huge adjustment. But think about this. Instead of getting into your 4-door car and everyone looks straight and there's a wheel here and then someone's sitting here and it's the back seat, you get into a vehicle, you're looking at each other, you have a desk or a table, you're reading, you're on the internet, you're watching a movie. All you do is set your destination. So you're not even worried about what's really going on. You put the blinders on, the curtains down, whatever it may be. Like, that is, I think, at some point it's going to become inconvenient to have to drive a car. I think that's where we're heading.
Well, so a couple really good comments from the chat room. So Andrew has said, I wish self-driving cars hadn't confused people looking at EVs, right? In other words, we assign self-driving to these electrical vehicles, and that they're not today. They're kind of one and the same, but they're not. It doesn't have to be. You could have a gas-driven vehicle or a gas-powered that is also autonomous. It doesn't have to be that way. Then we saw those weird pictures coming out of people sleeping in them and some of things like that. Brian says people respond to incentives. This I totally believe. If auto insurance companies make it cheaper to drive with self-driving enabled, it could push more people to do it. And I think Allstate has, in some of them now, you can install that thing in your car and it monitors how fast you go. And if you drive safely, you get cheaper rates. Like now, that's
I have progressive. I cannot have that thing in my car.
You do not. It's a total invasion of privacy, right? But they're giving you cheaper insurance, or the possibility of cheaper insurance for it, right? So,
another question would be, who's going to trust tech companies with all that control, that level of control over their lives? If you can shut down someone's car remotely, just
yeah,
that's going to be a whole nother thing.
Nathaniel says, like a personal train car, get in and ride, right? I mean, one of those. I'm going to Denver. This would be so great because I hate that drive. It's flat, boring. It's stupid, right? And I'd just love to get in the car and go with a bunch of other cars because we're all going to Denver together. There's less than 5% are stopping in Kearney or Grand Island or North Platte. Nobody's stopping there. Everybody's going to Denver, right? So, gosh, that would be super awesome. Mike, you said this a second ago. Well, hold on. Before I say this, let me say this. If you want to join us and I don't have a date set yet, but if you've got a Tesla and you want to join us for the Tesla panel, send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. We'll get a group of you together. I'll schedule it out here in the future, and we'll do a show or two, and not just like all the cool things of the Tesla. I kind of want to know, and it doesn't even have to be a Tesla. If you've got an electric vehicle, we'll throw that one in there as well. Maybe not hybrids, but fully electric. Jim@theaverageguy.tv, and we'll get you signed up. Mike, you mentioned the truck. I've been looking at the truck.
Which one? The GMC?
No, the Cybertruck, the Tesla.
The Tesla truck?
The first time I saw that thing, I was like, this thing is we talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
It's like, this thing is super ugly, right?
It's growing on you, isn't it?
It is. Somebody challenged me this weekend to just look at it. So I was doing some, and brought it up and was doing some things. It's a 4-door, it's got a crew cab. Goes 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. You can get it 2 and 4-wheel drive. It's 50, which isn't terrible. I'm buying, Jay, the whole reason I've been talking about this for a year. I'm buying a new car. I was supposed to buy it this summer, but with the pandemic, it just didn't make any sense. You're not driving.
Yeah.
I'm not driving anywhere. Mike is driving places, but Mike's going in. But I started thinking, so it got delayed. So I've been kind of looking at other kind of vehicles and such, and been looking at Subaru, been looking at Toyota. I really want a truck. I really want 4-wheel drive. I'd really like it to be fully electric. I started looking at the Cybertruck. Besides it being ugly, Mike. Okay, it's kind of ugly.
Yeah,
but not that ugly. Hold on, let's get a disinterested third party. Jay, have you looked at the Cybertruck? Ugly or not? And just because I'm the host, don't be nice to me.
It is. I don't think it's ugly or nice. I think it's designed to look towards the future, if that makes any sense. I don't think they really tried to make it as attractive as they could have. I think it's designed to stand out, and it's designed to look unique. So in 10 years, will we even think anything of that design? Probably not. We'll just say, oh, there's a Cybertruck, just one of those mini trucks. As long as you don't get it in like bright pink or something crazy, I think you'd probably be fine.
Well, no colors. It's brushed aluminum. I mean, it's brushed stainless steel, so it's silver. It's silver for everybody. So I don't have to worry about that. Mike, one of the advantages to it is that, it's not a car you wax and really have to, you wash it, but you don't really have to right? I'm terrible with paint. I just don't care about my cars that way. So, it's like, that's kind of cool. And then you can put the back, let's see, Sarah calls it a Tesla Camino, because it is an El Camino in every sense of the word, except it seats 4 or 5 instead of I don't know, you're looking at it right now, aren't you?
Me?
Yeah.
I had to remind myself of it. Yeah. And I think, I think just this comes back to my preconceived notions of what a truck needs to be, because if I had this form factor in a car, like if a car was this ugly, I would consider it buying the car, because it's like a futuristic car. Like if I pull up to the field to go hunting and throw my deer into this thing, like I couldn't show up to hunting with this truck. You know what I mean? No, I know. So that's why I think my specific view of the truck is
it's going to be a bag of concrete or a 2x4.
Yeah.
Like that's when I need a truck, I need a sheet of drywall.
Right. Oh yeah. No. And I think it's fun. Like, that's why I'm just saying, I think I'm a bad person to ask, because I'm thinking of a truck as in like, I have no problem with like super nice sport cars looking all cool and even Tesla cars. But like the truck to me is just like, I'm not ready to have that be a truck yet.
Okay. Jay, would you show up in a truck that looked like that? Would you drive, say somebody, you borrow it for a weekend?
Oh yeah, I mean, but I live in Philly where you can get away with doing stuff like that. People like people would just be like, "Oh, that's cool," like remember H2s and when Hummers were big, they were everywhere. Just like a fashion truck, and that's going to be the same thing here. I guarantee you. Like New York, Philly, LA, like that's going to be a status symbol. The next thing, it's going to be like AirPods for rich people.
Yeah. Well, but you've actually nailed it. It is, the funny thing is when I was in the military, so I was in the military 86 to 92. In 88, we drew Humvees, right? And so that was the military vehicle these were all based on. And they got ridiculous with them. They stopped looking like Hummers at one point, and they started looking like gigantic tanks is what they were at one point. But so I remember when those came out, and yeah, you're right. It's kind of that statement of like, I got the thing that nobody else got. Right now, when gas prices went to $5 and we like they disappeared. Right, I couldn't believe how fast Hummers disappeared. Like they were just, woof, where did they go?
Well, they were the least practical vehicle you could own.
I know, but where did they go? People just didn't like throw them away. They didn't go to the dump. They were like, they just Mike, I don't ever see a Hummer on the road anymore. Do you?
No.
Never. Well, there's some Hummer landfill somewhere. I don't know.
You know what? There's a bunch of collectors. It's the same folks that are buying these video trading. They put them in garages. Like they're all, they're covered and they've just parked them and they got 46,000 miles on them, and they're like, yeah, we're going to pull these things out in 20 years and they're going to be worth some cash. So I don't know.
Like the Beetles were. Remember when they remade the Beetle and everyone's Beetle was $1 million? Same is going to be the same thing there.
Right. Well, so I met so Sunday night we were at a family birthday party and I told my kids that I was thinking about this and they think this is the coolest thing since sliced bread. They were like, serious, Dad? You're going to buy the Cybertruck? And I'm like, it's bulletproof, right? And all these other things, right? They were quoting. And so here's the funny thing. So I said, Sarah, my wife, I said, she all the boys started gathering around as we started talking. I have four boys. Oh, so wow. They started gathering around. We were talking about it. And she said, what are you guys talking about? And I said, we're talking about the Cybertruck. And she goes like, that's a thing? So we explained it to her, right? And she was like, well, how much is it? And I'm like, well, the model I'm looking at is 50. She goes, that's it? like what? She's like, that's it? Like that's all it is? Like it I would expect it for being a Tesla, it would have been more. And I think that's probably the other misconception.
Well, even for being a truck, 50 is not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking at any other Chevy, GMC, Ram, I mean, you're going to be at 60 or above for a lot of those higher end trucks. And, now those trucks are going to have different features compared to these. But still, yeah, I agree. 50 is not bad because so you're looking at the dual motor version.
Yeah,
then.
Dual. Yep. Yeah. So I think it's 30 to 40 for the front wheel drive, and then 50 for the four wheel.
Or rear wheel drive is the 40. Yep.
Jay, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say then you factor in the gas savings on top of that, so you're dropping off even more.
And the autonomous driving, you could go out to Colorado and just.
I know. It's super weird because I called that thing the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Like 6 months ago, we talked about this on the show, and you and I talked about it. I'm like, that is the stupidest, ugliest thing I've ever seen. Until it was okay to buy it. And then I'm like, man, that thing is beautiful, So I'm thinking about it, and I don't know. We're going to stop talking about it now, but maybe a little bit of post show. I may put the $100 down tonight, Mike. I may.
You're on a trend lately of buying stuff on the show. Sarah's not going to let me, stay be your co-host if we keep doing this.
No. She's okay with it. We've been talking about how we're going to do this thing. So I don't know, one way or another. I think here in the post show we'll probably get that done. If you again. One of the things I want to play, we got a voicemail. Jay, we will get to you. I'm sorry, man. I hope you're okay.
No, this is great. Let's keep rolling.
Awesome. Jim Shoemaker sent in a voicemail. I know Jim was out there a little bit later tonight, but I won't spoil the surprise. Many of you know it already, but this is Jim's voicemail.
Hey, Jim and Mike. This is Jim with a bit of sad news. If you weren't already aware, Fry's is shutting down all of its stores nationwide. And have many pleasant memories of going to Fry's as part of the Geek Weekends in the meetups in Indianapolis, but no more. So I think a moment of silence on your podcast would be a fitting memorial, and thank goodness for Micro Center.
Jay, do you have a Fry's or a Micro Center? What do you have in what's close to you from a technology standpoint?
We haven't had Fry's probably in 10 plus years, but we do have a Micro Center. Thank goodness. So, yeah.
And I always thought Micro Center was a little better than Fry's anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree with that. Well, Best Buy kind of did Fry's times 2, I would kind of say. Right. And then Micro Centers takes the PC stuff times 10. So
yeah.
And adds in the personal element. Like Micro Center, what they do so well, like that personal help. Their staff is always just super knowledgeable. That's what I love about a Micro Center compared to especially like a Best Buy. Like the Micro Center staff always knows what they're talking about. They hire geeks, right? They hire people like us.
It's weird that you have the same experience in a completely different state. Like that's a good company culture, I guess you could say.
100%. Yeah, it's the one down in Kansas is the closest one to us, but it's right where I went to high school at. And so every time we go down there, because we don't have one in Omaha either. We don't have a Micro Center. We don't have a Fry's. We really don't have any brick and mortar besides Best Buy for tech.
Yeah, and
that's tough.
Some bad Best Buys.
Yeah,
they're not very good. So we do everything on Amazon. Yeah, it's funny how Micro Center has that corporate culture that really does well. No matter where I've been, and I've gone into Micro Center, it's been great. We do have some memories, of course, during the meetups out with the home server show meetups that we used to do out in Indianapolis for 5 or 6 years. We would go, there was a Fry's right across the street. So we would close out the day. We'd go to Fry's. They'd give us little $5 gift cards for coming over, which was kind of cool. It was something, we didn't have to.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
And then we'd all shop for about an hour, and then we'd head over to the Microsoft store and invade that place for about an hour and play all the games and goof around on the computer. So it was good fun. So Jim, thanks for sending me that message. You can send us a message too. We'll play it here on the show. Send it to homegadgetgeeks.com or go to homegadgetgeeks.com. There's a microphone, blue microphone in the bottom right-hand corner. Just hit it. You got 30 seconds to leave a message for us. It can be serious like Jim was, moment of silence. All right, that's all Fry's gets. And then or it could be funny. Either way, we appreciate it, Jim. Thanks for sending that in. Jay, you on your site, so TekEverything and your TekEverything on YouTube, that's really where I follow most of what you do is on YouTube. I kind of subscribe to you. I wait for that kind of stuff to come out. You kind of took your specialty has been small form factor PCs. Like I think if folks want to know everything or how to build it or how to get stuff in there, you're really, for me, you're kind of my small form factor specialist. You're the guy who knows it all. You just currently did a rebuild of a box. I think we talked about the last time you were here on the show, so we won't rehash that. But you came up with a Ryzen 9 and a 3070. Is that
3080?
3080. Okay, yeah. So how? Like, how did you get that equipment? And did you pay an exorbitant amount for those? Or that's inquiring minds.
It's giving me a headache just thinking about it. Unfortunately, I'm not big enough to have awesome connects that just send me things yet, but hopefully down the line. So it's funny that we mentioned Micro Center. That's the end result of the saga. But like everyone else, I spent a couple weeks online, Newegg, Amazon, anywhere, trying to find any sort of card, anything. Couldn't find anything. So what we learned was Micro Center gets new shipments every Tuesday and Thursday. So for, I want to say, about 2.5 straight weeks, I would get up at 7:30. I would drive to Micro Center, get there around 8, and wait in line with like 200 other people to hopefully potentially get a card or a CPU. This is what I had to do to get one. So
Wow.
I was able to get, and obviously you have no idea what's coming in those days. You don't know if there's going to be anything, but obviously they're good about telling you when you're in line, hey, we have X amount of cards, so what have you. I was able to get a 5600 fairly early, actually on launch day. So I've had that CPU since launch. Then the next week I was able to get a 5800, and I had that briefly, but I really wanted a 5900X. That's really what I wanted. I wanted those 12 cores, 24 threads. That's like the perfect sweet spot for gaming and performance. Yeah. So I finally went back. I had both those CPUs. The second week, I was able to get the 5900X, and obviously I've been sitting on that and installed that in my computer. And I sold the 5800 for like what I paid. I didn't try to gouge it or anything. And I've got the 56 in one of my smaller builds, and I'll be using that for like smaller builds as I go on. Now, the graphics card was even more of a pain. Obviously, they're in higher demand, and the lines for those were crazy. I tried to get a Ryzen, some of the new AMD cards, like the 6800 XT, what have you. Couldn't, there wasn't enough stock, but there were so many NVIDIA models, they would trickle out slowly over time. So the first card I actually got was the 3070 that I just pointed to in the background, the Founders Edition. That was all I could get on launch. Then I was able to secure 3 weeks later a 3090, which is complete overkill, and I had no use for it. I'm like, I don't need a $1,500 3090. So what I did was I sold the 3090 on eBay. I took what I made from selling it and bought the 3080 you see pictured in this video here. So I took what I made and bought an overpriced 3080 because I needed that specific card because it's the most compact full-length 3080. It's the EVGA XC3 model. So it's about 2 slots, roughly, give or take. Most of the other cards are 2.5 slots or more. So they don't fit comfortably in a lot of the combat cases I use. So that's that there. And then as I was waiting for that card to come in, I was at Micro Center again, and they actually got it in stock like that morning. So this is like, I'm waiting for it to be shipped, and they have it in stock. So I just went ahead, I bought it, and then I resold the one from eBay, the price gouge one, for the same price that I had paid for it, literally the same price. And so now I have a 3080. I had two for a while, for a couple of days there, a 3070 and 5600X and a 5900X. So yeah. I went through the ringer, standing in the cold, but I finally got them.
But that's more cards than most people have seen in the last 2 years, right? I mean, it's been nuts, right?
Yeah.
Well, but you put the time in. I mean, okay. I mean, we've had a lot of conversations in our Discord group and here on the show about nothing being available. When I watched your video, it's like, and now, like, it's even better when I hear the story of like, I just thought you got those 2 parts, and you know, and here to find, you know, you had six, you know,
yeah.
three,
all 3 processors and then 3 GPUs. Yep.
Yeah, but you waited.
Or no, 4 GPUs. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. You put the time in and waited at Micro Center to be able to get it, to kind of get it. That's and so, and then you got all this money out, right? You're buying, you're holding, you're selling, you're
exactly
right. Yeah.
But see, and I'm not the kind of person who does stuff like that. Like, I'm not waiting for anything. I'll get it when it comes out. But it was time to upgrade. I wanted to upgrade, and I didn't really want to continue making videos about my 9900K and 2080 Super. Like, I was bored with those parts. The 20 series cards, for me, just from a performance standpoint, I never felt like they were really where they should have been. So I was ready to move on. And and I had a 2080, which I sold as well.
You oh yeah, I had that.
You were looking at a whole crypto mining farm at this point. Had you kept
them all. Did. You could have been.
I should have kept the 2080.
You probably could have mined on them for a month, then sold them and enough to pay the $20 a day or whatever. You could probably.
I'm slacking. I promise you, I will set up mining this week.
We will. About the time you do, the prices will plummet. just to be honest. So, you know, if you're talking about it, if you're saying I'm finally going to do it, this is the story of my life. I'm finally going to do it. It's too late. But if you're saying those words, it's already too late. You jammed it. We're showing on the YouTube video right now. You jammed all that into a small form factor case. And did you get a new motherboard for this setup as well?
Yes. So pretty much, this is one of the only builds I've done where pretty much everything was new. I don't think I recycled anything actually in this build. So this is kind of my end all be all perfect build custom for me. It has everything that I've ever wanted. So the board you're seeing there is the Asus X570i. So that's probably the best ITX X570 board there is. You could make an argument either way, but it has excellent VRM cooling, dual fans, all that fun stuff. Dual M.2 drive slots. So I have two 2 terabyte M.2 drives in there. So I've got a ton of storage. I wanted to get away from any 2.5 inch hard drives or anything, just keep it as clean and neat as possible. So finally getting away from that was like huge for me. I also went with 64 gigs of RAM there. So more RAM than I've had in the past, but certainly enough. And surprisingly, I actually have filled it up a few times, whether I'm rendering or, like you said, I'm a tab monster. Really? So I've had 100 tabs open before, you know, I go crazy. But if I'm editing video, stuff like that, that 64 gigs actually does come in handy. So
yeah, pretty nice. Mike, what do you think?
I'm envious, but you put in the time and the sweat and the tears. I know, like I said, my brother-in-law just to get a 3070, he had the bots running, he had everything, and still none of that worked. And ended up, paying a lot. He paid, I think, $300 over MSRP to a guy on Facebook Marketplace here in town who had grabbed one, and it's crazy times for those. And I felt bad for him because he had just, this is his first PC he's ever built. And he just happened to jump in at the wrong time. And he's like, man, is it always this hard to get a GPU? And like, no, just the prices. No. But yeah, he was trying absolutely everything to get these.
Yeah, it was.
How do you feel about the performance of those, of both chips, both chip and GPU? What are you happy with it? Is it working the way you want it to?
So overall, I will say yes, for sure. I think particularly on multi-threaded applications, that 5900X just sings. And I have it right now, I have it clocked at 4.6 gigahertz. So it's slightly overclocked, and I didn't push it super hard, but 12 cores, 24 threads at that, it pretty much handles anything that you could want it to handle. Rendering super fast. The GPU is almost a little bit more impressive. It really does exactly what you think it would be. It's not as big of a jump as we've seen in the past, like going from like 9 series to 10 series. I think the percentage gains were a little bigger, but it was a decent, 15 to 20% boost over, like, say, a 2080. So I am definitely pleased with them. The one thing I'll say is just operating in Windows, I've noticed, and this could just be, I might need to just reinstall Windows, what have you, but it seems like the Intel CPUs were a little bit quicker to respond to single-threaded applications or tasks. So just like opening and closing a browser, stuff like that, it seems like sometimes that, and I had a 9900K before this, sometimes it might have been slightly more performant there, but it's so small, it's negligible. I wouldn't go back, certainly. They run cool, so like even under full load, I've got a 280 millimeter rad in there, and even under load, it is only hitting high 60s, low 70s max. So it's really, really good. The thermals as well as performance. So I have no complaints. If anyone is able to get their hands on it, the CPUs are a little easier to get now than the GPUs, but go for it for sure. Just go for it.
And thermals have to be massive for you because of the small form factor builds. You don't have any room for error when it comes to, a GPU that gets really hot or runs hot. I want to know how those numbers compare to past GPUs, because that sounds like really good to me. Like, for example, when I'm gaming on my 1660 and I have a big case, I'm getting up to that 6570 mark in a big case. So are you doing any tips or tricks to get those good thermals in those cases?
Yeah, so 100%, I would recommend anyone building, even if you're not building in a compact case, but anyone building a compact ITX build, make sure that you take some time to undervolt your GPU. It will give you the same performance. You're not going to lose anything. In some cases, you might gain performance while dramatically cutting down the wattage that's being pulled. and cutting down obviously the heat that's being dumped back into your case. So just the process of undervolting that 3080 dropped the temperatures by, I believe, I'm remembering this off the top of my head, but I believe it was around 5 or 6 degrees, and the power consumption dropped by over 50 watts. So it's something that takes 5 minutes to do. Essentially, you just get Afterburner, set up a profile, and drag the toggles. I can link you guys to a really helpful video that I followed when I learned this a couple years ago. But that has a super dramatic effect overall on performance in these compact cases.
Is it pretty easy on that to find how far you can undervolt before you will start experiencing kind of, you know, bad effects from doing that?
Yeah, so there are general safe ranges that you'll learn and see for most cards, but typically the process I go is I just keep pushing the sliders until while I have Haven running. Running and if it crashes, you went too far, you know. But
right.
Typically like a safe range where you can, if you I'm trying to think. I don't want to quote any actual millivolt numbers because people will go in and kill their graphics card, but there's typically a safe recommended range. Any guide you see will recommend, but it's a very simple process to do. If you're getting blue screen stutters, anything like that, pull it back a little bit. But there's no long-term damage or anything like that to your card. It really only will keep it cooler and healthy for longer, to be honest.
That's interesting. I've heard, you know, we used to do a lot of that back in the day when we were into the crypto mining, right? Because any power you could save was more profitability. But it was different because you were thinking about it in terms of like hashing power. I wasn't using these cards. I had 4 cards on one machine, no monitors plugged in, wasn't gaming. So now, I was so comfortable doing that. So now I want to do it though on my rig, just like what you said, for everyday use. Better thermals and everything, but I haven't done it in that context yet. So knowing that you run your card 24/7 undervolted, I might have to start playing with that on my main rig. Number 1, for when I'm gaming, and number 2, now that I'm mining on a little bit more, it could benefit both. Do you, you know, you probably don't mess with all the other stuff in Afterburner, like the memory clocks or core clocks or anything. You're just simply doing it for undervolting?
Yeah, so for my personal system, I usually will take the time to super tune everything. If I'm just doing like a build video, like most of the videos you see on my channel, no, I'll pop an undervolt in and just keep everything at stock. So I do have undervolt and a slight overclock as well on my graphics card, and that's the memory and the actual core clock as well. So yeah, I take some time, you know, take a day or so, fine tune everything, dial in the settings, make sure I'm not overdrawing the power supply, what have you, since I only have a 600 watt power supply in there. That's
what kind of power is that pulling? Stock. And then what are you pulling now?
So stock, it was hitting upwards. It was hitting close to that 600 mark. So it would be in that 570 range, which is obviously for 600 watts power supply, not ideal. We're bumping up against it. But then after undervolting, we're under 500 watts. So that's total system, you know, while gaming. But obviously you can undervolt the CPU as well. That's not typically something I recommend doing because you're sacrificing performance pretty much every time there, but it has a different effect on the GPUs. So you can kind of undervolt and overclock. I know it sounds backwards, but it works.
Jim, is that bringing back memories of back in the day when you had those 1060s hooked up and messing with all that stuff?
It does. It does. Jay, I am for sure going to get a copyright strike on your account.
I just told them, just hit them.
They're really good about letting you know. They'll say, "Hey, somebody's been hijacking your stuff." If you're only listening to the audio, it's perfectly fine. I've been Jay put a video together. You want to go to TekEverything on YouTube. Watch his channel. It's the last couple that are out there are really, really good. I was showing a lot of that build. So if you want to come to my YouTube channel and watch, or just go to Jay's and you can watch the full, including commentary. We weren't playing the commentary, but it'll be. You have to let me know if it shows up as a copyright strike for you. I've had at work. I've had some folks who have used parts of our video and they didn't necessarily get permission, and that's kind of okay, but. Showed up on YouTube, and I'm like, "Oh, yikes!"
Oh, really?
Should be careful. Yeah, they're getting really good at it.
A couple of years ago, but I haven't seen it happen since. It was like a lot of times you'll see like weird foreign companies just like take your stuff as promo material or steal it and put it in their video. I've had that happen a couple of times.
Yeah,
that's about it. But I've actually, speaking of this case, I've actually moved on. I've switched to another case since I made that video, an even better case. I switched to the Sliger SV590. I don't know if you guys have seen that case. I'll drop a link to you.
Yeah,
but it's pretty cool, and I'm gonna have a video coming out on that hopefully this weekend. But do not hold me to that. But a
same size case.
It's a little bigger. So from a liter standpoint, I believe it's 2 liters larger than 13, up from 11, I think. So it's a little bit bigger, but it's vertical. So takes up less space, actually. Yeah, really cool case. Something I'm really, really excited about it. One of my favorite cases so far. And I also have in studio, there's a new case that everyone's going crazy about in the ITX community called the Meshalicious. I know that's a stupid name. It's one of the dumbest names. It's like the Cybertruck of names. But
hey.
It's an all air flip case. But yeah, so that's another interesting vertical case. So there's some, from a case standpoint, there's some really cool stuff that's coming out or is already out that I'll be popping some of these Ryzen chips into in the future.
It's always so shocking when you're not into that community of building those PCs and then seeing what the case manufacturers do to make those small form factors fit everything you need. I mean, the fact that you're able to fit a 3080 into one of these is just, it's amazing that they make so much use of the small space they have. And I remember every time you come on, you talk about this, I go into this rabbit hole on YouTube for about the next 24 hours. I'm just like, I love watching build videos in general. And then seeing how you guys fit everything into that. It's almost like those like oddly satisfying videos, right? Where it's like, no way that's all going to fit. And then all of a sudden the case closes. And I'm like, that's impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I think I kind of, because I've been doing ITX builds for so long, I kind of lose a little bit of the magic of it sometimes. Yeah. And then when people comment and they're like, "Oh my god, like that's cool," and then I'm like, you know what, it is kind of cool that everything's so tiny, compact, and jammed in here. So I gotta reconnect.
Well, and what I like about it is I'm a very lazy computer builder. Like I wish there wasn't glass on the side of my case because I wish I could just throw everything in there and not worry about the looks. So watching how much time you guys have to take to make sure, I mean, because if your cables you can't just make a mess of cables because that's space that's like not going to be, that's going to mess with something else. So I appreciate almost the art form of it. And I feel like you kind of have to enjoy the art form to be into that style of case and size, right? Because I mean, there's really no reason you couldn't have a big hunking case sitting next to your desk. Now, maybe if like a home media application or something, you really need to get that small, but it's kind of like an art form, I consider it, of the computer building world.
Totally. I totally agree. And I really like the engineering that goes into it. It's kind of like, it's almost like a car. Like it's taking that form and function, merging them together. And a lot of the creators of these cases, you can talk to them. It's not like a Lian Li or a Corsair. It's a guy and a small team making a case because he's passionate about it. So I've had a lot of cool conversations, met a lot of cool people in the community because they just do because they like it. It's not even necessarily always profitable because a lot of these small run cases, they have to be $300, $400 because they're only might be making 1,000 of them. So they just do it because they like to do it. So it is really cool. And the stuff they come up with is awesome.
Yeah.
So if you want to go out and catch what Jay's doing, head out to TekEverything.com. Make sure you get out there, and it links to his Twitter and YouTube. Actually, that's how I talk to Jay's. We talk back and forth on Twitter, which is, I never thought that'd be a form of email, but it worked.
Yeah, a lot of people have been reaching out to me on Twitter. Actually realized I've had that Twitter account since I started my channel, and I realized I had all incoming messages, but people I follow blocked. So when I opened that up, there were like 100 messages from people that probably think I hate them over the years. So sorry, guys, if I didn't answer you, but that's why.
And TekEverything is TEK, just so for you guys are all the audio listeners, TekEverything. Also TekEverything on YouTube.
Yep. Jay, you surprised me with a new piece of gear. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but you got a new Rode shotgun mic that really, it's not new to the market in the sense, but you've kind of made it, you've kind of turned it in. Yeah, hold on, let me make you full screen. Hold that up to the screen there. Yeah, so typically this is a shotgun mic that sits on top of maybe a camera, a DSLR camera, right? That you would use, Mike, you might use this as you're filming some things or even a vlog, right? Or whatever. Jay, you decided to kind of make it you're working from home, just like I am as well. You kind of decided to make it your kind of work microphone, right? How's that work? I mean, do people know how long you've been doing it, and do people notice?
I've actually only had this for 2 weeks, I think. So I literally just got it. It's funny because I was on a big team meeting, our Monday morning office meeting, and our CEO was like, "You sound awesome! Like you sound like." So it was pretty funny just to hear that. So people seem to be liking it and enjoying it. But yeah, I picked it up because obviously, as someone who films video, audio is very important. Some might say it's even more important than the actual video. So I wanted to get better audio. I've been using lav mics for years. I had a Sennheiser kit, and also the Rode Video Mic Go kit that everyone has, those little squares. And they sound fine, but I wanted something that was simple to use, could just plug it into the camera and sounded really good. But then when I found out that this had USB-C port that could connect it straight into the computer and use it just like any other condenser mic, I was sold. I was like, I have to have this. So I picked it up, tested it out, and the rest is history. It really works very well. This whole shock mount I got here was like $15 total, this mini shock mount. And
show that again for those folks. Yeah. So not a fancy, the shock mount itself sits on top of just a regular mic stand. Right. Is that,
the desktop mic stand there. So,
well, okay. So here for a second though, Jay, before you put that back, I mean, point that the other direction and then say something, right? Point it away from you. Now say something.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, doesn't sound great because it's a shotgun mic, right? It's designed. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does a really good job with rejection. It does its job, and it has a 30-hour battery life if you're using it as a mic for a camera. You want to do stuff like that, or it's obviously USB-C, so it can just charge and plug into your computer indefinitely. So I mean, one of those sneaky purchases. I'm all about things that do multiple things. I love versatility, and this is just one of those latest products.
I love those products from Rode. They do a lot of really good stuff like that. And like that, I'm exactly with you. The multi-use stuff. That's why I love these ATR 2100s, because I have XLR going into my mixer for this gaming rig that I podcast on, but it also has a USB output that I plug into my work laptop. You know, because my work laptop's really locked down. I can't install anything on it, but it allows you to plug in USB. So same microphone, 2 different outputs, and it can pull from the same time. Like those type of things, like your microphone right there, right? Throw it on top of a camera, battery powered, and then plug it into USB and use it. I love those type of tools. I think it's becoming a little bit more of a trend, right? Especially for us video creators, because we go out and about and we film, and then we also come back and we sit at our desk and we, do videos just like this. And we were having the conversation earlier. The thing I love about that microphone that you're on is you sound, and for YouTube, I think this is huge. You sound like we're in a room talking to each other. I was kind of mentioning that, for podcasts, I like, the radio sound. But for YouTube, I love the natural, like we're in the same room sound. I think those are 2 very different things. So when you're doing tech reviews, when you're doing those sort of videos, I like that audio almost better. I find myself watching videos of people with microphones in front of them, and I'm like, this is normal for me if I'm in a car listening to audio only, but I'm watching you and it just doesn't sound like I'm sitting in front of you. It's kind of a weird thing to explain, but that one sounds really nice. It's actually kind of a good mix, because when you get that thing nice and close to you like it is now, it sounds it sounds like a podcasting mic, but at the same time it still has that in-person feel to it.
Yeah.
How much does that run?
These are $250, so not super cheap.
That's not bad at all.
Not bad for what you're getting. I mean,
no, for audio gear, I mean that's a good price.
Yeah, because I think obviously they have a whole line of condenser mics, and some like $500,000.
They do. So, Rode has a bunch, but you're kind of between the Heils and the Electro Voice. Those are probably 400 and 500. So the really good condenser mics, and then you would get on the low end, and these, I shouldn't say low, but the lower end, this ATR 2100, Samsung 2Q2U, a Yeti 100 B100, I think is what it's called. They're all about $100. Mm-hmm. So you could, Mike, this is a $200 setup that I have here to get this microphone, this arm. You could go cheaper on the arm if you want to. Right. Jay, you spent, instead of that, you spent most of your money on the mic, and then you have a super cheap setup because it's not in the camera, right? It's you don't need a fancy. How far is it, like an arm's length? Do you think if you held out your arm?
So about 2 fists, I guess you'd say 2 or 3 fists. Yeah, about
it's actually not that much further out than
But we don't see it. For audio listeners, we don't see Dave McCabe. We don't see that in the camera when you're when you have it here. In fact, Tony Rayner had taken a picture of us like he always does every week. Tony, thanks for doing that. He put it on Twitter. You can't see it, which for some people they really like. Listen, we used to send people these microphones, and people have microphones, and they try to get them off camera.
Yeah.
But, could you get it a little bit closer, to you, type thing? Well, I want them close. That's pretty great for us not being able to see it.
Yeah, and I like the noise rejection too.
Horrible. I'm notoriously horrible at like staying close. Like I'm not one of those people. I just for whatever reason I'm like all over the place. So this works a little bit better for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, talking to it. I think a really good option, like a really good office option for working from home. Like this working from home stuff for a lot of people is going to be near permanent for some. Yep. Like they're home forever, or at least till they change jobs or whatever. Not all of us. A lot of us are going to go back, and some of us didn't get to go home. But from that standpoint, I think, as you're talking, that would be a great upgrade for somebody who's really struggling with their audio. We at Gallup, they issued us Jabra 40s, Jabra Elite 40s, $75. So it's a headset. That thing is my daily driver go-to. I love that thing on my head. I love the way it sounds. I love that it's always there, because I am too. I'm like moving all over the place, So a headset, and it's clear. It's crystal clear. Like nobody ever says, what did you say? Kind of thing. Can you say that again?
I tried 2 other mics. Like I tried the Elgato Wave 3, which is $150 just standard condenser. And I was like, this is okay. Not great. And I tried the Rode, their new, I can't remember what it's called. NT1 USB. I think Mini is their new little $100 mic. It looks cool, little capsule mic. It sounded good, but again, you had to be like right up on it. Like if I was as far away from it as you guys are, you wouldn't even be able to hear me. There just wasn't enough gain or power there. So then I was like, let's get something real. And the Wave 3, if you're a streamer and a gamer and you have no issue having the mic in your face, it's a good mic, but obviously quality does not compare to the Rode.
Yeah. It's a little harder to do it that way. I'm not a big, I think, is that a condenser mic?
Yeah.
The Wave 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you just can't, for most people, they just can't get a quiet enough room. They can't get a treated enough room. They're trying to put they're trying to put a condenser mic that's picking up everything in a room that is not noise proof, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember in the early days when we were podcasting, I had this squeaky chair and I couldn't hear it, but everybody else could. One of those kind of things. Like I'd sat in that thing so long, I just didn't even hear it anymore. But Dave, I was podcasting with Dave McCabe at the time. He's like, dude, your chair like it's squeaking all the time. And even with a dynamic, with a dynamic mic, you could hear it. And hey, real quick, you just posted this on your YouTube channel. You just got I'm super cheapo, so spending more than $150 on an office chair is a lot for me. But you found a way to take $1,000 office chair and kind of pick it up for about $500. Is that right?
Oh, it's so funny you mentioned that, because I move very fast over here and I post very little. The chair that you're referencing, I'm not even sitting in right now. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about the concept really quick. You found a way to get it a little bit cheaper. Yeah.
So there's a company they reached out called Crandall Office Furniture, and there are some other companies that do this that I've found since. But essentially, they take premium chairs. In this case, a Steelcase Elite V2, and which is a very nice chair, around $700-800 chair, perfect ergonomics, very comfortable. I loved it. They take them, buy them from, I guess, offices or wholesalers, refurbish them, replace the pads, all that fun stuff. And they even do some custom prints if you want them to. So if you if you guys get a chance to see the video, you can see like the custom backing of my chair. They put my logo on it and what have you. They can do all sorts of colors and fun stuff like that. Yeah, I think it'll probably come up soon, or I hit it somewhere in the video. But it's a really cool concept. I remember seeing it. Yeah, yeah. So like for $400 or $500, you can get an $800 to $1,000 chair. In my experience, the one I got was essentially perfect. It was like brand new. Super easy to set up, a really cool service. And if you had an office, you wanted to put your logo on it, there you go. The print wasn't amazing. Like that's not the most amazing print job, but again, it's optional. You don't have to get that, or you could get it without a logo or just something more simple. So I think it's a really cool service. If someone's looking for a nice premium chair, they have a few models there, and there are some other companies that do similar things as well. You just have to look out for them. But I actually got another chair that I'm sitting in. You can kind of see it. This is called the Mavix M9. I'll do a little spinneroonie for you. Won't go into super details about this, but this is actually $1,000 chair, and there will be a full video on this. This is a really, really cool chair. So like a premium gel padded gaming office hybrid chair that I'm loving. So it made me, I literally took that Crandall chair, the Leap, and I gave it to my dad. So that's nice. That's what and that was a great chair. I can't even, was a tremendous chair that I used for probably 6 months. So
yeah. I need a chair upgrade. I need there needs to be a PSA to all like kids, parents out there. The one I'm sitting in, these like gaming chairs. It was like the racer chair look that every gamer like 10 years, I don't know how many long, I got it a while ago. Everyone thought like it was the coolest thing. They are so uncomfortable and so terrible for you. And I sit in this thing about 12 hours a day, right? Because I'm working from home right now. And I have a lot of regrets on not investing in a good chair at the beginning of the pandemic, because I feel like my back has taken a hit.
Yeah, I had one of those before my last chair, and so I feel your pain.
Yeah. Well, you're a software developer, right? You do code. Isn't that right?
I am not a software. I'm a front end developer, so websites, that sort of thing.
Okay, but you're still writing code. You're still sitting in a chair, hands on the keyboards, writing code all day. How important? So going from that $500 chair to going from a $500 chair to a $1,000 chair, do you notice a difference between the two?
That's a hard question to answer. So I will say these chairs force different postures because of the way they're set up a little bit differently. For the Leap V2, for somebody with good posture, which is not me, somebody with good posture, I think that's a really good chair. Someone who doesn't need neck support, that's a really good chair. Perfect. This chair, I took the neck piece off for this podcast because it's big and it looks stupid, but it does have a neck support. So for someone like me who gets back soreness, this chair is just a little better overall. It also has a gel padded bottom, so it kind of conforms to you a little bit better, and it's soft but not being too plush. So I'd say this is more comfortable over time, and I feel like less fatigue in my back, I'd say. But that probably has more to do with my poor posture than does it, I would say, the chair, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. And listen, I always buy the $109 Office Depot special. I ride those things for like 5 years, 5 or 6 years till they just fall apart. And then I buy another one. And I probably should spend, especially as much as I'm being home. Although this week I went in twice, and
you can probably write it off.
I probably could. But
now, to be fair, I wouldn't have paid for either of these chairs, if I'm honest. I don't think I would have paid for either of these chairs. The fact that they were sent to me makes a big difference. Spending $1,000 on an office chair, I think that's overkill. You can get a great chair for way less than that. But if you're looking for like something premium, that is there for you.
Yeah. No, so. Good. I think it's important. It's one of those things. It's one of those tools. Mike Howard, a good friend of ours, passed away a couple of years ago. Actually, just last year. He sat on a folding chair, like a metal folding chair, for like years. Oh, and wow. I mean, I bet it was 3 or 4 years before, maybe 5, before he bought like a real chair. And I remember talking to him. He podcasted. He sat in that thing. Every time I called him, he was in that thing. I was like, dude, like, get some padding in the How do you do that and not, he just did it. He's like, I got this. It's just it's like you have a church,
It worked for him.
It did. I don't know how he did it. I mean, it would have been too uncomfortable for me. Jay, you mentioned a few things coming up in your channel, just some things. Anything else you want to highlight as far as stuff that you're looking ahead to that you may be making some YouTube videos on coming up?
Yeah, I got some cool stuff coming up. Actually, I have some things on my desk. I don't even have to go looking. So one is I just held up briefly. So this is the Keychron K3. It's an ultra slim, 10 keyless, low profile, fully mechanical keyboard with replaceable keycaps. So that's very cool. One of the coolest keyboards that I've seen personally.
Fully mechanical. So clickety clack.
Fully mechanical.
The whole shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can replace the switches, you can replace the caps, and you obviously saw how it's also wireless and has RGB on it as well. So it's got pretty much everything that you could want. USB-C there in the front. Yeah. You can see how thin it is and kind of how low profile the keys are. Mm-hmm. So far, I've had this for about, I want to say 2 weeks. It was a Kickstarter thing. It was only $75. It's been amazing. So pairs to 3 devices. You can run it wired or wireless, obviously, like every modern keyboard, but super cool if you want a minimalist look and you want adjustable switches. I have brown switches in here, but I also got the blacks in case you wanted something, tactile or not. They have all those options there. So that's really cool. Also, something I'll probably write an article about, but I don't know if I'll do a video fully about. These I've been getting a little bit more back into audio. So these are the ICO OH10, and they are around a $200 IM in your monitor, and they are amazing. They're one of the best sounding things, and I'm not exaggerating. They're one of the best sounding things I've ever heard. And I have a lot of good audio equipment in here. I have more expensive IMs, more expensive headphones, more expensive speakers, but these, for some reason, they just sound great. They're really good, and $200 probably sounds like a lot to some people for IMs, but in the premium IM market, that is cheap, to be perfectly honest. So,
and those are wired.
Yeah, these are wired. These are wired. But I've been using. Last thing I'll mention is this thing. It's a FIO BTR5, and it's a little Bluetooth dongle. You can see how small it is. It looks kind of like an old iPod Nano or something like that, and it has a removable plastic clip piece on. And that's what that is. And this is a amp DAC for your headphones. So you can see in the top there's a balanced input here, a 2.5 millimeter, and then a standard 3.5 millimeter jack. So it's got all the connectivity you would want. It's got a little OLED screen on the front. And this is amazing because it does aptX HD. It does LDAC, which if you're into audio, that's going to be probably the highest end codec streaming losslessly that you're going to get. So I use this when I'm out with IMs, or even if I'm just running around the house and I want to just have IMs in. This thing for $100 has been amazing. This is one of the cooler things I've seen. So, and also has an app that lets you can set up an EQ. You can do all sorts of fun stuff in there as well. Really cool device, good battery life, highly recommend. So these kind of things, I usually just write an article on the website. I probably won't do a video on them, but you can look out for that in the future.
What headphones are you using now for the show?
I'm just using these Razer Hammerhead wireless, just these little cheapos. And I like these because they're ultra comfortable and ultra light. And
yeah.
I got my AirPods Pro here too as well. I use those when I go out.
Oh, I like that case. Is that a skin for the case?
Yeah, it's a hard shell carbon fiber case for them.
Oh, so, very nice.
Yeah. So
Jay, you have way too much disposable income.
Oh, you want to see disposable? This is just what's next to me. So we have the AirPods Pro. I've got these are the, what do they call it? The OnePlus Buds, I think, and then the Razer Hammerhead wireless. That's just what's in my hand. And then I also have,
it's close by.
I have these, which is the typical AirPods that you all know and love. So I'm obsessed, you could say.
It's okay. No judgment here. We're gadget geeks. Like there's no.
And secretly, he owns one of those LeBron cards that are worth about 6 figures right now.
Did you buy one yet, Mike? Do you have one?
No, because I said the signups they're closed down right now. You can't sign up. I know. I'm trying to find the black market for them, and I haven't found it yet. I want to learn. I want to be a miner for their.
For
their blockchain.
their blockchain. Jay, last week Erin Lawrence was on with us, and she was talking about, and I've already forgotten the name of it. Mike, what's the over-the-ear Apple headphone?
AirPod Maxes.
AirPod Max. Have you looked at those?
Yeah, I looked at them. The problem with Apple and high-end audio, Apple's where you go for convenience. Like I have the AirPods Pro, and they're amazing, but I don't go to them when I want to hear crystalline perfect audio. I go to them when I'm out or get on a plane or just casually walking, because they're perfect for that sort of thing. They sound good, but they don't sound amazing. I haven't heard the AirPods Pro, but people that I trust have told me explicitly they sound good, but you can get better audio from $100 set of headphones. So for me, that price point, I don't really see much appeal, especially the weight and the styling. They're also really ugly, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
So, I mean, it's like you really didn't do anything for me there. And then they're heavy as well. So I've got the Sony 100 MX3s, the last year's model. So they're perfectly fine. They sound pretty good. If I need noise canceling, I'll go there. Or I'll just go with something better, But some people are going to get those. If you have a MacBook, I could see that being good, but I'm a Windows user.
350 or 250? What did those?
$549 for the AirPod Maxes. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm excited to see Erin Lawrence's review, because like the convenience side of it is a big thing, but that sound, I think, Jay, kind of what you said and kind of what she's expecting is they're not going to blow her out of the water, be like, oh my gosh, they're amazing, I have to keep them. She's doing it as a review, and then like it's just like the little things with them, like they don't fold in, the case is weird, right? Like there's just all these extra things. I'm like, man, for $549, it's odd.
Poorly designed. If you're like your commenter said, if you are locked in, you have Apple TV, iPhones, iPads everywhere, great. I'm sure they'll be good for you because you can use them at home and on the go. But if you're like me, Windows users, my tablet is an Android tablet. Like I don't, it's just, there's no crossover there for me.
Yeah. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, I can fully justify telling someone AirPod Pros, even at $250, are worth it. Right. Same thing with like the watch, everything, because even though it has, it has the expense to it, but man, I have not worn an Apple Watch a day since I got my very first one a few years ago. Right. It's just like, there's so much to it, and the iPhone. But yeah, there are some of those products where it's like, I don't know. I couldn't in good faith recommend that yet to anyone.
That's funny you say that, because I was a non-believer until I just got one for my birthday, and it hasn't left my wrist. It's amazing. And
it's weird how it does it. I agree. My dad was the same way, because actually when I got my second one, I gave my old one to my dad, and he was the same way. Like, I would never wear that thing. He hasn't taken it off a day since either. It's great. There's even a fantastic app for hockey tracking so I wear it while I play hockey, and I mean, just the level of detail it gives you on your skate is amazing. And skating's a hard thing to track, right? Because like you're gliding and you're moving, so it's amazing. The Apple Watch is great.
Cool. What's the hockey tracker? I didn't know they had sport specific ones.
Yeah, so it's a third party app. It's called Hockey Tracker. And I think it was like $20 for the app, but completely worth it. It even goes into things like, so if you go into your game, things like VO2 max, your heart rate recovery, it has all the graphs. It outlays your speed with your heart rate over it. So it's using your heart rate a lot to be like, man, he's working really hard. So it rates your skating efficiency too. So how fast was I traveling compared to how fast is my heart going? Tells you how efficiently you're getting up to speed. I mean, it's just some really cool metrics that, I'm sure there's the same thing for like cycling and other apps, but this is the first time, because I'm not a cyclist. I'm not even a big runner. But so it's the first time I've seen these kind of detailed stats and kind of a way to show over time too, as the charts of, hey, your skating efficiency has been going up, right? You're trending in the right direction. It's really cool. I love those little tiny things, and wearing a watch I thought would be annoying, but actually I don't even notice it under my hockey gloves. Yeah. It's just there.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been using it for to like control my hue lights and stuff. It's just like little things. The Roku app is cool. It's just little quality of life things that make it worth it for sure.
Agreed.
Just the other day, phone rang. So my phone rang, the Mac Mini rang, and my phone and my watch buzzed. So you can hear it on, and I could answer it from just about anything. You think you think I'd grab my earbuds, put it in, and answer it on the Mac. Right. But I answered on my watch. Like Hey, what's going on? Hey, how's it going? And like taking phone calls on the watch, which I thought would be super nerdy, which it is, and kind of dorky. It's super convenient.
Yeah,
like you can hear it, they can hear you. It just kind of works.
it does for sure. Just as long as you're not. Last time I was on a plane, there was a grandma literally having a full conversation, and I was just like, okay, lady.
All right, grandma, take the watch off. Put the watch on airplane mode.
I miss being on a Mac because my favorite feature was being able to just tap my spacebar, wake up my Mac, and it unlocks because it knows I'm wearing my watch. Like I missed that feature so much. That was like, that enough for me. It's like wearing a key to your computer.
That's not working for me. Really cool. We got to. You and me got to troubleshoot that because that's not working for me.
Is it an M1 thing? You think?
I don't know. I need to troubleshoot it. I'll spend some time figuring it. I don't get too, as we talked about the monitor earlier, the monitor problems. I don't get too worried about those things, like, we'll figure it out like somewhere down the line. So anyways, well, Jay, thanks for, we've kept you an hour and a half. I don't want to keep it too much longer. Thanks for coming out and thanks for coming back, saying yes whenever I ask you to come back. I usually wait for a couple super cool videos to come out, and then I'm like, all right, it's time to have Jay back on.
With me, that's like once every 6 months at the rate that I post.
That's a good pace for us, just to be honest. That's kind of a good. You actually fit our community really well, because I don't think anybody's into. Geez, the proliferation of daily YouTube. Yeah. It's nuts, right?
It's something that I've struggled with because it's kind of like I never want to feel like I'm making content just to do it. Like I never want to feel that way. And if I don't feel passionate about something or I think something's cool, as you see, there are long gaps. I just won't make a video. And obviously that sucks for the algorithm and for channel growth. But I don't know. That's just the way that I manage it. A lot of channels are just trying to survive out there and make money, which is unfortunate in some aspects.
But some are doing real well. I watch a bunch of DIYers who are crushing it. They're doing really, really well. It's so funny because you can see their spending go up as their YouTube channel gets more popular. So all of a sudden they're buying, tracks for their gator, and all of a sudden, like, we're building a new barn. You're like, really, in this economy? Did you know that wood just doubled in price, and they're building a brand new barn, and you're like, YouTube money,
Well, I got the spending part down. I got to get the.
Well, Jay, good enough for me in what you do. It's always great. You make great videos, and I'll encourage everyone to go out TekEverything.com.
Thank you.
You better watch the video that Jay puts this box together. And even though he's already moved it to another case, I think there's a lot to learn by watching because you do this all the time. You're constantly doing builds, and just the way you put a build together is methodical. And so I think there's some stuff to learn about the way you do it, and the parts you put in, how you get it done. You're especially working in very small spaces, and so you have to be very, very detailed. Cabling is my weakness. Like, I need big cases just because I don't know how to cable. You always do such a great job of making sure the cables are in the right places, doing the right thing. So
I try. That's definitely the hardest part, getting those cables wrangled. And I'm not as perfect at it as I should be. But I try to get my zip tie game on and make it as neat as possible.
Right on. My son does the same. I need to learn from him. I'm terrible. The problem is this. And I'll wrap it with this. You put the zip ties on, the second they're zipped and they're tight, you're like, oh, I need to do one more thing. And then you got to snip them off and you do it again. Right. And I'm like, why? I just leave it a mess. It's fine. Mike, are you a neat guy, or do you kind of, your cables? Okay, good.
No. That's why I said, like, I wish all the glass would go away on the side, because I just I make it look good enough, right, just for presentation, but I hate doing it. It's not my thing, but that makes me really appreciate it when I see it in other machines. Yeah. My brother-in-law is the opposite. He is fantastic at cable management, and his, it's even behind a back panel that you can't see, and when you take it off, it still looks great. I'm like, no one sees that. He's like, yeah, but it's like, I'm like, you do it right.
Well, Jay, thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. We won't bore you through our end of the show stuff. I don't want to take any more time than I ever have. Thanks for coming on. We'll bring you back as soon as I see a bunch of videos come out. Here, this is a little motivation for you.
There you go.
We'll call you back up and have you back on. Thanks for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. It's always fun.
Great seeing you. Stay safe, okay?
You too.
All right. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. Mike, a couple of reminders on our way out. I just love Jay. He's just like
a lot of fun to talk to.
So one, like his desk is phenomenal.
Yeah. And that new build is clean. I like it.
It's so great. It's so great. Jay, thanks for coming on. There it is. There's the beautiful Cybertruck. I'm just showing it to you right now on there. We're going to talk a little bit about this in the post show. I may get the credit card out. I'm not going to lie. I may get the brand new. It's still in the package.
Oh, look at that Apple card. You won't even, that card won't do you any good because it doesn't have any numbers on it.
No, you can, there's an option when you go to order it that says Apple Card.
Yeah, but but that's not going to do any good. You can't swipe it.
No,
you're going to need your phone out.
Oh, I'm okay, but I'm going to.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
you know.
Isn't that funny? Like the physical card, you can't even, that doesn't do any good.
I just wanted to be fancy because I still have the card in the envelope. We're live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. Hopefully, if you've made it this far, we've engaged you in some way. Just make sure you go and visit Jay. TekEverything, TEK, TekEverything.com. Don't forget, you can support us on Patreon. I told you guys at the beginning of the show I would show that. And so we appreciate those Patreon subscribers, Brian and Tim. I got to fix that Tim one there. Ed and Aaron, Joe, Jim, Ross, Andy, John, Ed, Ryan, Justin, John, Brian, Dwayne, Nathaniel, and Paul. And I'm sure Paul is coming for I'm sure once I ask him, he'll come to the Tesla roundtable that we're going to put together. So thanks for supporting us on Patreon. If you want to join the Discord group, I had whiskey and beer tonight, so it's going to be a struggle here right at the end. I had some Old Forester. Have you had Old Forester bourbon?
No.
Okay, well, it's too bad you're not drinking anymore. But when you do decide, let me know. I'll bring some over. If you want to join us in the Discord group, head out to theaverageguy.tv/Discord, and we'd love to have you there. Don't forget to leave a message for us, question, comment, whatever. Jim Shoemaker, thank you for your contribution tonight. HomeGadgetGeeks.com. Click on the blue button and leave us a message. 30 seconds is what you got, so make sure you got it planned out. If you want to contact the show, send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. Of course, theaverageguy.tv, both web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting, and Christian is crushing it right now. Just freaking crushing it. So if you're thinking of starting a website, he's got plans that start at $10. MapleGrovePartners.com will get you there as well. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. If you're in the chat room, I may order the Cybertruck tonight. I'm just saying. So stay around a little bit. That could happen. It's $100. What is there to lose? We'll see you back here next week. Dwayne Johnson's here next week. And of course, Dwayne, he is the ultimate gadget geek. So he's got a ton of stuff. Mike, we better buckle down for a couple hours on that show.
I'm ready.
All right. Sounds good. We'll see you next week. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.